Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Crystal. We're business coaches and retreat hosts for bold, purpose-driven women who are ready to build businesses that actually fit their lives.
This podcast is for the authentic, rebellious entrepreneur who's done playing by everyone else's rules. We know what works because we've lived it, coached it, and savored the journey.
Join us for real talk on business, life, and everything in between.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Serendipitous Rebel. I'm Wendy Guth, and I'm here with the ever so fantastic, fabulous, just had her birthday, Crystal Iger. I know we have to throw that in. And so last week, one of my absolute favorite things in the whole world dropped. And that could be open to so many things. But in this case, it was the annual World Happiness Report. And this would be the report for 2026. And what it does is it takes the majority of the world's countries and ranks them based on key factors, ranks them based on their happiness. And it's a really interesting report because in addition to that, it also digs into like a theme. Last year, the theme was like, it was about eating dinner together and families. Yeah, which was also very fun because really you're happier when you have a communal meal together. That's, of course, friendly and fun. But this year, it actually dealt with one single report that had nothing to do with what they usually look at as key indicators, which it would be, say, wealth and health and climate, things of that nature. What they dug into this year was social media. And especially the concept of social media as it relates to the younger generations, Gen Zs, and especially, and this is really important for us because we have daughters. We spend so much time on social media, especially as entrepreneurs, and just as I guess right now as just everyday human beings. It's such an and I'm going to say it's an important part of our life, and I think it really is. Try running a business without social media these days, but there's also a flip side to it that I'm excited to talk about today. The flip side being that there isn't always the positive. There is some negative to this, and especially as we look at our daughters. So I'm going to shut up for a moment and hand it over to Crystal.
Well, and I do want to kind of talk about is social media important aspect of this, right? Because I saw a stat actually this morning in another workshop that I was working through, and I wanted to quote some statistics that they had shared. And this was shared by Strong Brand Social. 90% of brands are invested in social media. Social media ad spend surpassed $276 billion last year. The average small business spends between $2,500 and $10,000 a month on social media. What is the next stat there? I'm trying to forward the slides without playing the slides obnoxiously in the background, which is always okay. So, and the thing is, it becomes this part, social media becomes this part of marketing that you can't really ignore because, again, the data is showing 78% are more likely to buy from a brand if they have a strong social media connection to that brand. Okay. 57% of consumers will spend more money with you if they are actually, again, following you on social media and engaging with you in social media. And 76% will use social media to make the decision on whether or not to buy from you or a competitor. Okay. So it becomes this thing. And also, I will add that I think if we asked all of our clients and all of the people in our community, in our mastermind, all of the people, all of our colleagues in our ecosystem, do you like social media? I
Mhm.
also think the answer would be no.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, I think, spot on and accurate, you know? Um, and it's really interesting because one of the things that the report does, it draws a clear line
Hmm.
between raising life satisfaction and lowering life satisfaction.
Yeah.
And in terms of social media, if you're passively doom scrolling, mindlessly browsing, or gaming for escape, you're actually lowering your life satisfaction. And I
Hmm.
think that that is not only how do we, for ourselves and our kids, get us away from doing those things, but
Hmm.
also as entrepreneurs, how are we creating content that raises life satisfaction?
Yeah, and I think this is why I was so excited to have this conversation because
Mhm.
so much of the serendipitous rebel brand goal, right? Or
Mhm.
our mission, our purpose, our and I'm not just saying serendipitous rebel, I'm going to say Crystal and Wendy at
Mhm.
large, okay? It is about how to find joy on your own fucking terms, right?
Yeah.
Like plain
Yeah.
and simple, right? And we
Mhm.
do that through our framework of savor. How do you savor life? And it's more than the acronym, right? It really is the word savor, okay? And when I
Mhm.
think of savor, I think about enjoying the process,
Mhm.
right? It is really hard to enjoy this piece of the process when we're constantly fighting uphill with it, right? And so I think
Mhm.
it's so interesting then that this report came out and it's like, well, yeah, now like it's scientifically showing that it is lowering our happiness as a whole. And yet at the same time, like we just shared, it becomes so freaking necessary to the
Mhm.
well-being of a business, especially
Mhm.
a business that's going to operate online.
Mhm.
And so it's really understanding again, yeah, that balance of this. And so it's one of those that I'll be honest, it's like I'm kind of scared to have the conversation at the same time, I'll be honest, because it feels so big. There's so many different, this could be like the longest podcast ever. It won't be. But but I also think it goes into another big theme that we've been talking about for 2026, and that is that there is an overarching antidote to a lot of what ails us.
Mhm. Oh
And that
yeah.
is, I'm going to turn it over to you, Wendy.
Well, that is community. And also interestingly, the when it talks about raising life satisfaction, the number one thing is how do we communicate with each other? That
Hmm.
and using social media to communicate, also to teach and learn, and to and really to create content that fits into that realm. And it's so important, and I think the number one thing definitely is community. Absolutely. We're joking around now that I'm actually, while we do these next few community podcasts, I'm actually wearing a hat that reflects one of my communities. One
Hmm.
of my, we talk about hats that we wear. Where do we fit in and where do we see ourselves fitting in this world?
Hmm.
And I think when you're just passively doom scrolling, and they also straight up pinged influencers in this, that this is not how you want to, I was going to say hang your hat, but this is not who you want to be. Oh wow.
This is
Sorry.
not who we want to aspire to be
Yeah, or aspire to listen to.
or
I
aspire to
think.
listen to.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great point because I
Yeah.
think that, and so when we think about how we're going to engage with social media, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking this even just mostly as a business owner by nature of this podcast, but as a human being, right?
Hmm.
How do we engage with social media? And you and I have had the debates in the back end of our business, and there have been times where I've said, I don't want to do social media anymore. I'd love to figure out a way for us to get off of it. And the
Hmm.
fact of the matter is, it's a really big part of a necessary part of a marketing ecosystem. Okay.
Yes.
So, how do we learn how to live with it and make it work for us in a
Hmm.
way so it doesn't feel yucky? It feels like that we are aligned. It feels like we are working within our values,
Hmm.
within our ecosystem, and not letting it be a drain
Yeah.
on the business. Because I can tell you from a marketing strategy perspective, the minute you turn on your business, you are pinged with 1,001 ads telling you how to work and grow in social media and to try this
Hmm.
tactic and do this and do that.
Sure.
So I think it's really understanding from the get-go, where does social media live in your marketing ecosystem,
Hmm.
and getting very clear on that. And then again, how do you want to engage with that going forward in a healthy and collective way?
And, for me, I'm slightly different in that while I do post, I guess I look at it more from the end user perspective because I'm not the marketer in this in
Hmm.
this duo, and I look at it really as I think it's more than a means to an end.
Hmm.
And I think one of the things that was super interesting and important that came out of this report was technology isn't the villain.
No, it's really
It,
not.
it's learning how to use it to connect rather than just consume, because they're not the same things. And really, when you're looking at it, the villains are this algorithmic feed, this
Yeah,
constant putting you into some sort of a crazy vacuum, and that I think is very unhealthy. Encouraging all this social comparison as opposed to leaning into curiosity.
hmm,
There's and also this influencer culture, well, is also comparisonitis.
yeah,
And those are the things that I don't want to be known as an influencer. I would like to be known as a thought leader, as a thinker, as someone who shares information and teaches information that is helpful to encouraging people to find joy in their life. And I think if we have a really solid understanding of what role social media plays in not only our person well in our personal life and in our professional life, and even to the point of having um knowing what our core values are around social media, that it's it really does serve a valuable purpose.
I agree. So I think let's walk it through real quick then.
Uh-huh.
How they said this conversation can go 6,000 different ways, right? So I'm trying to decide. It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast with Viola Davis, and she says every time I pause, I'm just negotiating with myself to think through the best answer. So here I am negotiating with myself via Viola Davis on Good Hang. So when we look at the positive ways to engage in social media and doing it through, I think it's important that we do it through the lens of community,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
What do you think is the most important first step in that process?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I think of it, just even if we step a little back and just look at it from a wider view first,
Hmm.
that the English speaking world, and so if you look at the research, United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, we are the most connected countries on earth, the
Hmm.
most connected countries. But if you look at the data, especially in younger people, we are also the ones, when you're looking at it through. like a social media lens, we are the least happy. We are the no, I'm sorry, we're not the least happiest. We are the ones with the greatest tanking of happiness. Like
Hmm.
rank in of 136 countries, we're like 122 to 133. That is crazy to me how countries that are so wealthy in so many different ways really are that unhappy. And I think it's for a couple of reasons. And the report actually came out and said wealth doesn't protect happiness, community does.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, I would like to say that we need to unplug more and be
Yeah.
more conscious. And I say that even as the starting point by saying that if we could actually say, I'm going to limit my social media. It's not going to
Hmm.
be from sun up to sundown. Or I think last night I was at the theater with my husband and he was on well, he was on social media. He was reading the news from the
Hmm.
time we sat down till the curtain went down during the intermission. Sorry to ping you, honey, but and I'm like, dude, let's interact. Let's
Sure.
have connection. And really drawing lines of when is it appropriate to seek out social media and what are really the things that really are most aligned with who we are. And I think it always goes back to what are our values.
Hmm.
And when we talk about happiness and we talk about joy, it goes, some people, there's the whole thing about comparison.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I think back to the very first course that I took at the University of Michigan. And one of the things that's the differentiator between superficial happiness, which is, well, he has a Porsche, I have to have a Porsche, or his house is smaller than mine, that sort of thing. There's that sort of superficial happiness, which really doesn't make you happy. It makes you wanting more. And then there's the deeper stuff with, I know my purpose and I seek out joy that's around my purpose.
Right.
I love, what is it? Like, I love being an extrovert. That's one of my purpose things, not my own personal. I'm just, spitballing this.
I was gonna say
Right.
what?
Yeah, exactly. So I love going dancing 3 nights a week. That's the kind of thing where you're saying, I'm finding things that bring me pure joy.
Hmm.
And so I think that allowing us, so first, it's really setting up the boundaries and the guardrails.
That's it.
Then it's looking at what exactly, and if we think about it, it's where do we want to belong? Where do we
Yeah.
want to belong that fits in with our purpose and our passions, the stuff we talk about with Savor, or potentially allows you to unwind or allows you to build community, those sorts of things. Where do we find those places that allow us to belong? And there are so many groups that allow us to do that. I mean, I think about Grown and Flown, for example, which is a huge monster group of parents whose kids are either getting ready or in the process of growing or have grown and flown. And it's, I think, a highly, highly, highly successful group because there's a common bond and theme, and it allows us to be vulnerable and curious. And it also really breeds the community. And I think also the ultimate, what do we want to take away from where is our involvement? And I know from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's really hard because there are so many groups out there that say, we're here for you as a female entrepreneur, but what are they ultimately really doing there? And that is such a fine line and a hard line. And Crystal, what do you think of that?
So I think what it comes down to first and foremost is knowing, and we say it all the time, who am I and what are my values? Okay.
Hmm.
Like you said, okay. And then being very intentional about engaging in social media in a way that it falls in line and is in alignment with those values.
Hmm.
And I think that if you are not foundationally rooted in that way, I think social media can be a very big trap because it can very easily drag you down a rabbit hole that
Hmm.
puts you against your values. And this is why people feel so agitated with social media, right? And when I think about,
Hmm.
and you had said perfectly, like with business owners, I think if you're, when we enter in the hat of, and when we enter into social media and we're wearing the hat of mom, right? Or if you're like me, I entered in the hat of social, my hat on social media when it first came out was college student, because we were one of the first 5 universities that Facebook had. I don't know if you remember, to have a Facebook account, you used to have to have a
Yeah.
college email
Yeah.
address,
Yeah.
right? You used to have to have an edu email address before it opened it up to the global entity that it is now, right?
Hmm.
So it's interesting because I think social media started as this community for college kids, and there was a very big common bond in that community. And as it has expanded out, we have all of these community enmeshments all in one
Hmm.
screen, right? Either on your computer, or let's be honest, most of us are engaging with it on our phone, right?
Hmm.
So now it's kind of like being out in the real world, right? We have to come to how are we going to engage in this world online, right? And I think it doesn't matter if you're engaging with the world in person or you're engaging with the world online. You have to have that foundation of like, who am I? What am I about? And what am I looking for? And be really rooted and grounded in that. And then go and find your people. And I'm not talking
Hmm.
about political alignment or food alignment or, like I'm only going to talk to people who like chicken nuggets, right? It's values alignment, okay? People that share the values for me of kindness and integrity. That's who I want to
Hmm.
engage in this world with. And so I think that when we look at how we're jumping into this world of social media, I think most people really struggle with it when they don't have that strong sense of identity and self, right? And
Hmm.
then they're engaging in a way that's out of alignment. So if you think
Hmm.
about just from a business owner standpoint, when we're brand new baby businesses out there, that foundation is not as heavy set, right? I felt like I had a strong identity and foundation and sense of self as Crystal.
Hmm.
And then when I became Crystal, the business owner, back when I first started my travel business, all the insecurities of being a brand new baby business owner come in. And now all of a sudden, it's a lot more easily to be influenced by all of these different things on social media telling me what I'm doing wrong, what I should be doing. And you're out there kind of trying to look for the answers, right?
Right. Right.
And so I think pulling it back and just having that strong sense of, and I go back to savor, right? The A in savor is align with your passions and purposes. So knowing what it is that I want to get out of this and what I don't is so important
Yeah.
to be able to engage with this landscape in a very healthy and fruitful way.
Yes. I completely agree. And what just popped into my head was really, when we think about who is a serendipitous rebel,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah.
So I would like to think that a serendipitous rebel uses social media on her own terms.
Yeah,
And what does that mean? That she is using it to build genuine connection and not performing for an algorithm.
that's it.
And that is just, and to be honest with you, as the non-marketer, you'd have to really explain to me, like, I think I have an idea of what performing to an algorithm means, but I know it has to do with why I look at stats and say, oh, if I did something stupid in this video and it recorded higher, I should probably do more of it. Um,
Well, and actually, I think I'm gonna actually take it back a step before that.
uh-huh,
I think when people look at social media and where they get very disjointed with it
uh-huh,
from a marketing perspective is one, we're all constantly trying to beat the algorithm. And guys, it's intentionally designed.
right.
Okay? Like they've come back and said, like, we intentionally design social media to get people inflamed or get them a dopamine hit to keep them coming back. Okay?
Yeah,
There was a class action lawsuit to Meta very
yeah,
recently that
like this week.
basically, yeah, that basically said, hey, you guys embellished, trying to think of words today. Words are hard today. Hey, you guys embellished your your stats around reach and conversions, and
Mhm,
people, because they were driving those, they were getting that dopamine hit from trying to follow the stats, because we thought we
mhm,
were being smart about this, right? We thought we were being
yeah,
smart about, we're going to look at the stats and we're going to recreate content, we're going to push content that goes higher and stuff like that. We found out that those numbers were falsified. Okay. So I think it's understanding as a business owner and taking the pressure off
mhm,
of that goal of, I'm going to beat the algorithm and I'm going to figure out a way to beat the game and become the best Instagram. And I'm going to use, we work with a lot of coaches, so I'm going to use that as an example. I'm going to be the best business coach on Instagram and grow and get all of my business from that.
mhm,
No, that's probably not going to work for you. So it's really,
right.
I think so much of what we do is retrain our clients on how to have a healthy relationship with
Yeah.
social media and understand where it falls in the algorithm. I just had a conversation with a client about this last week where, she was like, I post every single day and ChatGPT told me what to post and I posted all the things and I'm not growing and I'm not doing anything. And
Yeah,
it's really
it's
understanding,
yeah,
okay, where does the social media fall in your ecosystem and what are you doing with it?
right,
And I think if
right.
we can do a shift into saying, okay, I am not going to try and use social media to get new customers and grow my follower count, right?
Mhm, mhm,
My goal with social media, our goal with social media, okay, is to use it to build an online community of people to engage authentically, to warm up our audience
right,
for
right,
sure,
right,
to
right,
understand where they are in our world, right? To
right.
get to know them a
Mhm,
little bit more. Okay. And when we make that shift, it takes the pressure off of trying to fit into all of these formulaic things that take you out of alignment as a business owner and usually puts you off track of where it is that you need to go. And instead, you start engaging it in a more real way. And then you start to see more success with it because your authenticity, your alignment, all of that comes through and it floats to the top. Where I think it's interesting about this is that, again, using all things as the goal should be at the end of the day, community and connection. And if
yes.
we can have the end goal be community and connection when it comes to social media, when it comes to networking, when it comes to engaging in our community, instead of how I can win or how I can make a sale or how I can do these things, if that community and connection piece comes first, I promise you guys the sales and the flow of, of customer acquisition becomes so much easier on the back end because people then fall in love with you. I think about like one of our clients who has never once tried to sell to me, and we were talking about how sales is not her strength. But at the
Mm.
end of the day, I'm always like, I love you so much to shut up and take my money. right? Like her gifts and her talents shine so naturally through that I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, here, take my money. I will happily hire you to do all the things, right? And that's not because she's been sales driven or sales forward. It's because she's been very connection driven.
It's so true about using social media to build genuine connection. And I think some practical practical advice to think about and practical tools to think about are setting time boundaries. And the data supports under 1 hour of intentional use a day. I bet if we all opened our phones right now and
Mhm.
looked at what our usage, it would far exceed 1 hour. And drilling down to really setting time boundaries and figuring out ways of getting off of social media and into IRL,
In
into the real
real
world,
life.
into real life. Uh, Really important, really, really important. And I would suggest that people take a platform audit. Um, are you connecting? What is your use of these platforms? Is it connection or is it comparison?
Mhm.
Really? And it's and this is
Or are you
actually,
shooting yourself to death?
yeah. Oh my gosh. Um,
I mean, so many of you are on Instagram just because you think you should be.
Yeah. Well, I actually like, see, that's like me and TikTok.
No, that's
I,
what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like Instagram, I enjoy, and I probably enjoy it the most because it's the graphic heavy. But I stay away from TikTok, even though I feel like I should be there. And why do I stay away from it? Well, because I know that you, Crystal, will forward to me TikToks that you think I should see. My husband does the same thing. And I get that connection
Mhm.
because you're sharing what you think I would find entertaining. And that is absolutely perfect for me. So, and I do the same thing with Instagram. How many coffee things do I send? Yes, especially first thing in the morning. Yeah, and I think that the one piece of it that I really want to lean into more in my own usage is using social media to invite people to real life. And whether that's a conversation, whether that's to continuing, a lot of what I do, memories, stories. Um, and I really think it's so important that we're using it to focus on real life rather than replacing real life.
Yeah, because I think again, it becomes the difference between being an active participant in your life or the observer of your life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's where, they say all the time, and again, this happiness report was just really fascinating because we are more connected than ever. And
Mm-hmm.
people feel more lonely than ever. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's because it's very easy to use social media as a crutch to get
Mm-hmm.
have connection. I actually think about my own high school reunion recently. I didn't go to my 20-year reunion, and I thought to myself, and I don't want to go to my high school reunion, by the way, for a great number of reasons, social media aside, but also there was a little bit of that. Well, I keep in touch with everybody I need to keep in touch with via social media. Why do I need to go do that? So I think about that in terms of a business lens, right? It's so easy for us to skip the in-person events or the in-person scenarios because we have this social media as a crutch to say, oh, I don't have to go do that. I connect with them
Mm-hmm.
via social media. And the fact of the matter is, nothing can replace that real life in-person connection
Yes.
aspect. Then and and you feel it when you leave it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
about our mastermind retreats, right? Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
reason we do an in-person 5-day immersive mastermind retreat, right? Because it gives you that real world face-to-face connection that can't be replicated on Zoom. And it certainly can't be replicated in your DMs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And our participants feel it when they leave. It's why we get the same people to come back every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, and you know it, everybody knows it. It's why people constantly are signing up for conferences that we know are going to be kind of garbage conferences. I think about one that I went to last April. It came around again, the sign up. I'm not going to say what the conference was. It just wasn't that good. There was a part of me that wanted to go back again, though, not because the conference was good. Actually, all the presentations were pretty awful. But
Yeah.
again, the in-person experience of
Yes.
getting to be with people and network with people and talk to people face to face filled me up my cup in
Yeah.
ways that you just don't get when you're just hitting the like buttons on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah. And I think about this because for the past three, four, such some odd number of years, I've really been looking at this particular happiness report and how it works with Savor.
Mhm.
And I keep coming back to the same things that no matter how the report slices it up and what the focus is, the most rigorous global well-being, and this is the most rigorous global well-being study in the world, is essentially describing Savor.
Mhm.
And what do I say to that? Is in terms of like exactly what you just said. When we're talking about shared meals equals shared joy, you're gathering people around a real table. Belonging as the happiness intervention. That is what the Savor Mastermind really creates, for attendees. It's communications based connection, not comparison based. And Savor uses social media, but not from an algorithmic performance. We it was interesting because we just were talking before hopping on this, where there's also a fine line, and what is it? Because we tend to gravitate towards social media posts that talk about us, talk about what makes us happy, what makes us joyful, what we're thinking about today. There is a fine line between that and also providing the teachable learning that we want our clients to have. But our focus has always not been algorithmic. Also, getting back to the retreat, it's about slowing down, being present, creating things on purpose. And I think that is really the heart of our brand, you know? Um, and it's really and it goes much bigger. It's not just about the retreat. It's kind of a global
Mhm.
philosophy that we have. But um I think it's just so really important. And I absolutely love that now we're seeing this statistical significance.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes us work harder, want to do more.
Well, and I think get out of our own heads with it, right? Because I
Yeah.
think social media is it's such a comparative game.
Mhm.
And it's so easy to get discouraged if your only focus in your business is in social media. And for so many of us, that's our only lens to the outside world, right? We
Yeah.
work from home. What access do we have to those things? It's through social media.
Mhm.
I think, and again, the antidote to that is having a community of people that you can reach out to on a regular basis beyond your DMs, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think about you and I chat on the phone daily, right? Via Zoom or on the phone.
Mhm.
I have a group of friends that are on Marco Polo that I sit and chit chat with on the regular there. It's just a video chat. Having that connection piece of it really gets to the heart of understanding, hey, not everything is sunshine and rainbows for everybody. We post the highlight reel on Instagram. we don't post the shit that we're going through always
Right.
every single day. And I don't know if we should or shouldn't, to be honest, but I think that it's understanding that everybody, you know, when a friend gets on and shares that they've got anxiety about recording a video for a client or recording a webinar or creating sending a proposal to somebody, at the end of the day, we're all going through our same struggles and anxieties and fears and all of those things. And I think that having the connection piece to have other people, one, reflect your brilliance back to you so that it can help with your confidence, but also empathize and understand that you're not alone in feeling this way is really, really important. And if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to do that, if the only thing that you have is the filter of social media, it's very easy to spiral to some really dark places. And when I think about the difference between business owners that have the resilience to keep going in business and get through the yuck and those that don't, it's because they live outside of the world of social media and have that community and connection piece outside of it to calibrate.
Wow. Well, that's actually a perfect way to bring this all home. And, you know, so the world's happiest people aren't the ones with the most followers. And but they are the ones with the most genuine connections.
Yeah.
And they eat together, they show up for each other, they belong somewhere. And that's not a coincidence because it shows up in the data. And I think that that's the life that I don't think it's just me. I think it's we want for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. Which leads us to a really fun announcement.
Yay!
We are actually launching the Savor community for female entrepreneurs. You can find the link in your show notes, or you can find it on our website, serendipitousrebel.com, or directly at serendipitousrebel.com/community. The Savor community is a great place for online business owners who are looking for authentic connection with other purpose-driven entrepreneurs. So you know that business is not always the highlight reel, but is actually filled with real women working through real things just like you are. We are hosting this community off of social media, actually, in our own private portal. So if you would like to have access to it, you can go there, or you can go to our website to learn more about that. It is free.
Yay!
Here to help
Join
drive
us.
more authentic community and connection to work against this, because we want the world to be a happier place, damn it.
On that note.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening this week to this week's podcast episode. If you liked it, if you loved it, of course, leave us a review. Send us a DM on social media if there's topics that you'd like to hear more about. And until next time, bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.